there was a march on Saturday at the Cenotaph where I don't really want to mischaracterize them like the British government did, but the working class of England decided to come out and protest and defend what they thought was going to be against a potential desecration of the Cenotaph by pro-Palestine protesters. Now, as we covered on Friday, this has happened before, happened in Rochdale. The Cenotaph has previously been desecrated by various other left-wing movements, so not an unreasonable fear. And so certain people decided to say, right, we're going to go out and defend the Cenotaph, and lots of other people like, oh my goodness, it's a trap. And well, yeah, obviously it's a trap, but everything's a trap. So what are we going to do? Do nothing forever? No. And so these guys went out and they shuffled past the Cenotaph, had a nice peaceful 2-minute silence, and then basically nothing else happened. Everyone was worried that there was going to be a big Barney between the two sides, and that didn't occur. So of all the ways that this could have gone, I think this probably went the best. No one died. As far as I can tell, casualty figure for this was 0. Couple of people got a bit bloodied, but nothing too bad.
Wasn't there 100 arrests of people?
Yeah, but of course there are going to be people arrested on one side, mostly.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that because, of course, if you've been following the mainstream account of this, you'll notice that the Palestinian side were all peace and love and light, despite being led by an ex-Hamas leader who now lives in London. 2019, he left Hamas, moved to London.
Do you know how much he's getting from the taxpayer?
That's
usually the case, these things.
Oh, it is a council house. He's living in a council house in London, which can't be cheap. So who knows how much he's getting from the taxpayer, but he is getting your money. And on the other side, you've got patriotic football supporters who don't want to see the nation's monuments desecrated and would like to come out and pay their respects on Armistice Day. You know, the far right, the problem, according to the British media. I mean, this is a good representation of them queuing to see the Cenotaph, and you see the police for some reason standing around.
The police tried to stop them getting to it, didn't they?
Yeah, well, we'll get to it in a minute. But as Leo points out, these are the far-right hooligans who've been warned about. Noticeably orderly behavior and lack of anti-Semitic chanting. Yes, that's definitely something that happened. There were a few scuffles with the police, but like, they always have scuffles with the police. And as I'm given to understand by first-hand reports from our roving reporters, producer John, who went down there, there were the lead figureheads of the march were instrumental in making sure that these guys basically kept their heads, because a lot of them probably do want to have fights with the police, to be honest. And who can blame them? No, I'm joking.
I was just thinking exactly that, actually.
Yeah, I hate the Met Police of diversity and inclusion as much as anyone else. So, you know, what are you going to do?
But there is no point in really getting arrested just having a scrap with these guys. If all you want to do is have a scrap, it's not really going to change anything. And I will say, that's great that there were some leaders who stuck around to make sure that everything was going all right. But I have seen reports, so I've got one right here, that Tommy led a bunch of people into Chinatown. A scrap started with the police, and then strangely he was able to immediately get a taxi out of there, which is a very strange situation.
Very strange. Maybe you'd like to give us an update on why that happened.
Well, it said that he tweeted afterwards saying that if he'd stuck around any longer, he'd have been arrested and he needed to go see his kids. Strange.
To be fair,
there were threats on his house, though, weren't there? I'm pretty sure I've seen something that...
Entirely possible. And he spent a lot longer in Belmarsh than I have, so I can understand why he didn't want to get directly involved in any scraps. But I mean, it's not mandatory to scrap with the cops, and I would say it's inadvisable. Don't if you can help it, in my opinion. But either way, it doesn't really change the needle. Doesn't really shift the needle either way, in my opinion. This is literally no different to how it was 5 years ago. This is literally exactly the same media, exactly the same narrative, exactly the same people. Only the left has gotten worse, which is what we're going to talk about. Because I love how the BBC have characterized this. London protests. Met condemns extreme violence of far right. what extreme violence exactly? We haven't actually seen any extreme violence. I'm going to quote directly from the article. The Met Police have condemned the extreme violence from right-wing protesters who it says set out to confront Saturday's pro-Palestinian march, the one led by the Hamas leader. 9 officers were injured and 145 people arrested, the vast majority, quote-unquote, of whom were counter-protesters. So yeah, but if one side is being policed and the other isn't, it's not terribly surprising, is it? Police added, while the march itself did not see much physical violence, serious offences relating to anti-Semitic hate crimes were being investigated. Now that makes you think, oh, the Patriots. Actually, there wasn't much physical violence there. So where the extreme violence from right-wing protesters comes from, bit of a mystery. Seems to just be thrown in the headline for the sake of it, because actually, the march itself didn't see much physical violence. But also it seems conjoined with the anti-Semitic hate crimes that are being investigated.
If you came to me and told me that every single news outlet reporting on this had a template that they were filling out, where all they needed to do was change the numbers based on the arrest reports of how many people got, then I would not be shocked, because every single one of them is going to come out with the exact same narrative as one another at the same time. The only things that's changed over the past day is, I don't know if you're going to mention it, but we might as well mention it right now, is that Suella Braverman has been fired, and there seems to have been a centrist coup of the already moderate and centrist.
I'll let Connery talk about it tomorrow. He's going to cover it on the podcast tomorrow.
Do you think, though, with these sort of like tabloids, they have
tabloids and BBC?
Yes,
like they have like this article written last week, and they've almost got someone with Parkinson's just itching just to like click hit send.
Yeah. Because I just love this conjunction. It's like the protest march itself did not see such physical violence. Right. So extreme violence of the far right in the headline, because that's a lie. But in the body of the text, well, there wasn't violence in the march, but there were a bunch of anti-Semitic hate crimes on the day. Okay, but where were the anti-Semitic hate crimes? Which is what we'll look at in a minute. But
just to let me finish my one brief point, was that it seems that this narrative was already being,
of course,
being preordained, because they probably knew that everyone knew that Braverman was on her way out, and they're using this reporting of the events that happened on Saturday almost as part of the reason why she's been removed from the party, because they're saying she was the one who ginned up this xenophobia and racism and anti-Semitism, despite the fact I think she's married to a Jewish man. So that would be very strange for her to do.
Well, that's the thing. They say anti-Semitic hate crimes are being investigated, but they don't deliberately ascribe them to the right-wing march, because, of course, the right-wing march is very pro-Israel, because that's not where the anti-Semitic hate crimes were coming from.
But also, what is far right? I asked this on like Twitter. Whenever I see like people usually on the left go, "Oh, far right," I go, "What is that?" And they go, usually they go, "Well, it's racist politics." And my response to that is always, Fidel Castro, massive commie, used to execute blacks for fun. Yes. So like racist. And they never actually have a thing as to what far right is, and neither do all these news outlets.
Yeah. It's a dividing label that you throw on your enemies. They can never
actually explain what far right is.
Yes. Far right is chanting "England till I die" at the cenotaph, which doesn't seem very far right to me. It just seems patriotic, but I think that's what far right actually means.
Are they going to arrest everyone at Wembley at the next England game?
Quite possibly. But Constantine summarizes it. So you can chant "Rise up, Army of Muhammad," or "Jihad," or "From the river to the sea," and you can rip down posters of kidnapped kids. That's all fine. But chanting "England till I die" or praying silently outside an abortion clinic, that actually gets you arrested. And so we'll take a look at Sanjita here from Israel. LBC, who has some thoughts about the yes, I know.
That's what you paid for, boy.
Yeah, I don't like her either.
I suppose so, yeah.
But her framing is what's important here. That's the thing.
She emboldened racists to come out onto the streets of London.
Rabble, rabble, rabble in the background.
Show their faces.
Racists have faces.
To wreck Armistice Day.
So,
I'm telling you now, you couldn't find 5 poppies between those thugs. These are people who claim that they are friends of Israel because they're Islamophobic. And yet these are the people that were inspired by Hitler. These are the people who say that they want to honour the war dead. Not just from the First World War, but the Second World War, where those who were killed died fighting the Nazis.
Crazy, eh? So
there wasn't a single coherent thought in that. It's like she was an AI being fed lines.
However, she leant forwards, she spoke slowly, she looked directly in the camera, and therefore everything she said was right.
she saw English people being pro-England and Britain and was thugs. Like, yeah, exactly, I've got to deal with these thugs, right? So, but as you say, they were, I mean, and this is her words, let's just get the inspired friends of Israel who are actually inspired by Hitler. I mean, not an entirely sensible person, but also a bold strategy, because we'll just count the number of swastikas on either side, shall we? Because how many swastikas do you think the Friends of Israel were flying on that day? Not that many, actually. How many swastikas do you think the anti-Israel side were flying? Ooh. The answer is more than one. So we got this is a collection of just people saying we are all Hamas and we'll find some Jews and things like that. Not all of these are actually on this day, I think. But there's
innumerable clips you can find of these people.
Exactly. So this is the general milieu, and you've got a lady here being like, "Do you really think that Hamas should be classed as a terrorist group?" And she's like, "No, they're freedom fighters." Blah blah blah. And then so if we go to the day, you get like chaps like this.
If the West feels so sorry for the Israeli Zionists, why don't they give a place in Germany? Why don't you go to Hitler's back garden and make an occupation there? Then they will know what kind of people these are. Why every so many 100 years, the Zionists get slaughtered? Because Hitler knew how to deal with these people. They probably made a program so they can create a state of Israel.
Right, so just a little bit of overt Hitler endorsement from the pro-Palestine side.
The funny thing is, right, that's my old cameraman doing it. And I know exactly at that point, in his head, he went, "You're on YouTube, son."
Yeah, exactly. This is gold. This is the clip. 3.2 million views. This is the clip. But I mean, like,
I thought you were about to say, like, this guy was your old Deliveroo driver or something.
But like, okay, so just, Sanjisa, the Friends of Israel, inspired by Hitler, obviously. The pro-Palestine guys who are like, Hitler knew how to deal with the Jews. Good guys, I guess. I mean, even the Met are like, okay, yeah, we kind of have to.
Oh my God, they're actually investigating.
Well, that's the thing. 3.2 million views later of this guy literally being like, Hitler knew what to do with the Jews. They're like, okay, yeah, I think we might have to arrest him. Actually, if anyone knows who he was, we kind of know.
They'll arrest him, and then it'll end up becoming a job interview.
Yeah. quite
He'll be head of diversity by the end of the week.
Yeah.
I don't think, as much as the Met Police are trying to dispel the claims, I don't think one minor investigation is going to convince anybody it's not two-tiered system.
Well, obviously, that's the point. Like, these people weren't being policed.
No, of course.
The football lads who just wanted to walk peacefully past the cenotaph got into a fight with the cops. How did that happen? Like, what? There's no one else there. It's just them and the police. And the police are like, right, okay, well, I guess we're going to have to interrupt them now. Let them walk past. But here's another one.
Killers! Death to all the Jews! Fucking Hitler!
The irony, shouting killers, and then
death to all the Jews. But Sanjisa, I just want you to remember who the pro-Hitler guys are. It's the Friends of Israel who are the pro-Hitler guys. Just, let's make sure that's perfectly clear.
Where was it that the pro-Palestine guys actually marched through?
Not Palestine.
Well, obviously not Palestine.
No, it was a different route. I can't remember which one it was now, but they didn't go past the cenotaph, which is wise. But yeah, then you got signs like this. Only Putin has the final solution for English C words. What does that mean? But why are the pro-Palestine guys so often on the final solution bandwagon?
And also,
what does Putin have to do?
I don't know.
I know the most I know is I think Putin's thrown out a few anti-Israel statements recently, calling them an imperialist power, but I don't know what he's doing in England.
But I don't know why he's the guy who's going to deal, who's got a final solution for us either. It's like, he's not the only guy with nukes, so it can't be that. Like, what? I don't know. But the point is, they're on board with final solutions because this is just apparently a perennial feature of the pro-Palestine march. This is classic, absolutely classic. I'll play this from the beginning because this is just hilarious. As you can see from the description, police confiscate a sign with a Nazi swastika on it as the protester takes it back. The officer is reluctant to let me film the sign. Very interesting.
Yeah, but that one you can easily find Facebook. It's all over.
It doesn't matter, it's the fact you're portraying it. Okay, do you mind just going with... I'm going to put it down for the moment to stop giving everyone their angle. Do you
What happened? Keep moving, guys! Guys, please keep moving!
No, you can't have it. You can take that picture of it if you like. You have to give me the ball. Stop. Okay.
Why can't I film it?
You can't film it at the moment. I'm trying to put it to the side and you're grabbing it off.
It's got a swastika on it. It might be worth filming.
I despise the police. Like,
right. You want to see the two-tier policing? If that was Tommy's lot with a bloody swastika on their side,
obviously.
It's not, we're just going to put that to the side because the optics will look bad for the media, for the press photos. They'd be absolutely getting billy clubbed.
Part of the police's duty in all this, their job on the day was to, like you say, basically manage photo ops for the media outlets and make sure that you got as much violent footage of the pro-Israel, pro-Cenotaph, pro-British guys as possible so that people like Sanjita can turn around and say, look, this is all to do with Suella Braverman and we need to get her out so we can get good old David Cameron back in charge.
Look at the Nazi sympathizers on the pro-Israel side.
Yeah. And to prevent as much of this from being photographed by independent journalists as possible. That's what it was.
But it's absolutely transparent, crystal clear that you could not get a more obvious demonstration that there are actually, if this is something that they care about, a lot of Hitler sympathizers on the left side.
And you're right, it's transparent, but it's not transphobic, and that's what's important.
That's true. That's true. But anyway, like actually hiding the swastikas, actually like people yelling death to Jews. Hitler was right. This all came from the pro-Palestine side. It didn't come from Tommy's guys, right? But and then you've just got like massive amounts of racism like this. You're either on the white side of history or the right side of history. Don't make us choose.
I know a fair few white people that went to like the Palestine march.
Oh, yeah.
And surely you look at that. Like, you know, I kind of dislike both sides really. But like you look at that and you think, surely you'd be there and go, I'm starting to think I shouldn't be supporting.
I'm starting to think that when this is characterized as a hate march, maybe there's something to it. There does seem to be quite a lot of hate coming from their side. Now, I'm not saying the other side isn't a hate march. I'm just saying I saw a lot less death to all Jews, Hitler was right, actually everyone who's not us is wrong, and more, we'd just like it if you didn't desecrate the cenotaph.
But the irony of this as well is like, so you got that, and then if you look underneath, there's a sign that says different types of love. What? Like love and hate?
I mean, I dread to think who these people are in coalition with.
I was going to say, different types of love. There should be another one of this where they've got two hands holding in, and it's like, this is what the establishment fears. One of those ones.
Yeah. So
just send out so many mixed signals and confuse everybody.
Yeah.
Also, did they do a turkey flag that was in blue? Like,
I don't know.
They're not very smart. That's the Turkish flag, isn't it? In the top right one.
It might be someone else's. I'm not sure. But is that Syria and Gazan flag? I'm not sure. But like, who the hell are they anyway? But anyway, so
I think that was a Namibia one, wasn't it?
Quite possibly. I don't know. Like, what have they got to do it? But then you've got this lovely lady who's got the coconut sign calling Rishi Sunak and Suella Braverman coconuts because they're brown on the outside and white on the inside.
I've got time for that too. That's quite funny.
Well, I'm not saying it's not funny. I'm saying that as the Met Police have got to admit, okay, that is a racist sign. Okay, we have to investigate that too because as you can see, 15 million views. Lots of people saw this and were like, yeah, okay, that's kind of racist.
I'd take it as a compliment, but
maybe, but
the crazy thing is, right, the police are now, oh yes, we're going to have to investigate these people that have had a nasty sign or said something a bit awful. But, you know...
something a bit awful, death to all Jews.
Oh, yeah.
Hitler was right. Yeah, it's a bit awful.
But, like, you know, when it comes to, you know, going back to the whole Tommy stuff, when it comes to the molesting of children, we'll ignore that.
Sorry, it doesn't matter. I pressed there. Sorry.
There we go.
I podged something by accident. But yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, it's crazy how they'll, you know, just because of all the pressure on the media of just so many people were looking at these.
Yeah.
they'll be like, oh, somebody said something or held up a sign. We're going to have to investigate. When it comes to actual crime, like children being molested, we'll turn a blind eye to that. We don't want to offend anyone.
Yeah, and I just want offences relating to anti-Semitic hate crimes we investigate. Just be clear, it's not from the Patriots that's coming. I just want to be crystal clear about this. And this, as you say, Harry, the media narrative was, of course, set in advance. And so it is actually, I think, to our benefit to be able to lay this out and it could not be more crystal clear. You literally have swastikas, Hitler was right, death to all Jews coming from the pro-Palestine movement. And then you literally have, don't desecrate the cenotaph, you failed your country, England till I die, coming from the other side. So I actually don't think this is terrible optics. And so Channel 4 are the best example of this. They tweeted this out. Now, I had to get an archive of this because they deleted it. But after being branded hate marchers by the Home Secretary, a massive pro-Palestine protest passed off peacefully with hundreds of thousands in attendance. The only scuffles on the day involved far-right protesters who clashed with the police. Do we think that's true?
I want to say yes, only because the police only wanted to be amongst the far right.
That is true. And this is the link, the article they linked to, so you can see it's basically saying the same thing. The vast majority of arrests were from far-right counter-protesters. Oh, right, vast majority, that's different. So it's not entirely peaceful, and we can just move on a bit. So you've got Michael Gove being attacked by the pro-Palestine people.
Oh, finally something we can all agree on.
Yeah, I know, right? On one side...
Some things bring us all together.
I don't like Michael Gove, but on the other side, is it really right that the pro-Palestine guys are allowed to physically threaten a British politician, a prominent British politician? I mean, do we remember the murder of Sir David Armistice by people who these people would be on the same sort of side? I'm sorry, but this is not acceptable in any way, shape, or form, is it? Right? Not one mention. Not one mention. This isn't what the headlines are focusing on. Gove got chased twice by these people.
Twice in the same
day. Yeah, right. But then, of course, you have the pro-Palestine protesters not being policed at all, but firing fireworks just randomly up and down roads. Could set fires, could injure people, doesn't matter to them. The pro-patriot side is peacefully trying to march past the cenotaph. These guys aren't. In the end, the police were like, okay, we actually kind of have to intervene. And so 150 of them were kettled. Yeah, no, that's literally it, right? 150 of them had to be kettled and disarmed. They had to search them all, take all their photos. And it's just like, okay, but nothing from the media, right? A couple of small scuffles because the police weren't letting them near the cenotaph, even though they did then let them by the cenotaph. Reports of extreme violence from the pro-patriot side, crickets on the actual Hitler worship, the death to all Jews, the swastikas, and the actual violence that the police themselves had to admit that they had broken up from the pro-Palestine side. Right? It's crystal clear that they are absolute liars at this point.
I bet they hated tweeting that, didn't they?
I bet they did. I bet they're just like, God, well, we can't not, right? Everyone sees that we've done this. And here's a bunch of them getting arrested after clashing with the police. I mean, totally peaceful protest, bro. Totally peaceful. Nothing had to go on. I mean, look at the headscarves. Which side am I looking at? What's going on? Oh, sorry.
That's a white girl with a tea towel on her head.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The coalition is made up of a bunch of immigrants, a bunch of leftist white people, and then a bunch of anti-Israel Jews, basically.
That or she's rehearsing for the nativity.
No. She's definitely on their side. And then you've got just pro-Palestine guys just attacking random people who they assume, I suppose, are on the other side with a piece of wood. Good stuff. Totally normal.
Yep.
Definitely not worth reporting on. No point policing any of that, is there? Anyway, moving on. In Trafalgar Square, obviously, I bet Nelson's thrilled. Looking down, this is the Britain I fought for. Disgraceful. Because you got the riot squad right next to it as the clash is going on. Look, they're just standing there. Well, look at that smug face on one of the police. Look at it, just kind of smiling. Why aren't you breaking that up? I mean,
they're waiting for the photographers to get done first.
To say that it's two-tier policing is just to be vapid about it at this point.
The police do that as well, Sam. But it was when I first got into journalism. I was at one of the anti-lockdown marches, and I was kind of stood kind of slightly away from this group at Hyde Park at the end, and it kind of started to disperse. It's more like the real freedom fighter, people who really do hate lockdowns left, and the police literally encircled it.
Yeah,
and I was like, I feel like they're about to do something for a photo op, and they ran in. Some of them like holding like the camera thing. They got their had a bit of a scrap with the protesters, left, and then literally went. And I was saying to a friend, I was like, "This
social media police."
And then the following day, in the headlines, it was literally zoomed in like the pictures they took, where you'd have like a couple like that and someone like that.
Yeah,
I'm like, but actually, the real story is they ran in with clubs, had a scrap, and left. But they started it.
That's why I think doing this sort of thing is an important exercise, just to continually remind you that they're liars, they hate you, and they're going to side with your enemies every single time.
And you pay for it.
And you pay for the privilege. Yes, you pay for the privilege. Right. And there are some really funny things, like Palestinian protesters breaking into Pret-a-Manger and berating people for drinking coffee.
This place is owned by McDonald's. They're spoiling genocide, everyone. Everyone in here is giving money to Israel. Walk out right now. Go and get your drinks. Get out. Go and get anything from here.
From anywhere else but Pret. Come on now. Out you come.
Use the toilets and that's all. Just all the work. Can't use anything else. Don't buy one single drink from here.
The toilet doesn't even work. What are you all doing here? The toilet doesn't even work.
Don't spoil Israel. They're going to make more money today.
Right. I think this is a good thing.
Yeah, me too.
All right? Because we've heard it so many times from the liberal elites in this country. Well, if we don't have all of these migrants, who's going to serve me Pret? That has been the argument used. So the only way to dissuade them is if the Prets are no longer safe.
Yeah.
But the best thing is, listening to that, my first thought was, have you seen Four Lions?
Yep.
It's like, we're going to go blow up Boots because it gives us free condoms, mate, when I have sex with them white girls.
I mean,
that's just a modern day that.
He literally began it with McDonald's as supporting genocide. So
McDonald's is actually playing every side.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't want to defend McDonald's, but I actually don't think they support genocide. Neither do I think Pret does, although they do support the middle class.
Isn't McDonald's airlifting like McNuggets into every side of this conflict?
Well, now that Tony Blair's in charge of Gaza, they're going to get their share of McDonald's.
Thank God.
Another funny thing, and this just cracked me up. For some reason, one of them was scaling the drain pipe of the Irish embassy while people chanted Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
What is the plan? We're going to break into the Irish embassy and
we're going to take the Guinness.
Palestine? Like, it's the Irish embassy that the Irish are the ones responsible for the invasion of Gaza. Like, if we finally take the Irish diplomats hostage, the war will end. What are you doing?
Netanyahu, let my people go, or else.
Yeah, exactly. And Sinn Féin, like, we're pro-Gaza, you morons.
And they're like, despite the fact they tend to hate the English, the Irish are very neutral on most of the world's conflicts. They don't get involved.
They're hardly the octopus who's got their tentacles involved in everything, are they? But then we'll end it there because, of course, there was just general amounts of hate. I mean, these two older British people were walking along with like a poppy or whatever on their lapels. The pro-Palestine saw them and was like, we hate you. And it's like, but what have they got to do with Israel's invasion of Gaza, actually? Like, it's Remembrance Day, it's Armistice Day, it's Remembrance Sunday tomorrow. They want to come and pay their respects to the war dead. Not really much to do with Israel invading Gaza, actually. And I bet if you were to ask a bunch of the people who were walking past the cenotaph, do you think there should be a ceasefire in Gaza? They'd be like, yeah. I don't care. Why? I just don't want you ruining our stuff. But anyway, I'll leave that there. It's just the media narrative is obvious lie, and they're lying to you as they do every single day.
I do think that everyone watching this, especially watching these clips, if you haven't taken up a combat sport, you should. Like I
mean, for self-defense,
learn to defend yourselves. Yeah,
because like imagine if you are if you are at Victoria Station and you're a white guy, and some people go, "Oh, there they are, let's get them."
Well, that's what's happened here. That's literally what's happened. The police had to come in and be like, "You guys are causing trouble, so you have to leave." And it's like, really, we're the ones causing trouble, are we? But just remember, this is the country you live in now.
Take up boxing or Krav Maga just for a laugh.
Why not?
The Hitler sympathizers adopt Krav Maga. wave their Israel flags, and don't chant death to Jews with a swastika on their board.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as this video between Carl and Shad on a discussion about dadism. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.